Hi there from me, Dina Marais, and welcome to our webinar. The relationship between your weight and stress. The webinar will be about 30 minutes long, and I will also switch over to our system to show you. I'll share my screen a bit later to show you what that looks like. I just want to do something technical before we get going. Just give me a moment, please. Rightio. So on your screen, you will see on the right-hand side of the screen there is a panel, and at the bottom it says say something. So if you want to make any comments, or even later below this video want to make any comments, you are welcome to, and I will come and check and respond. Also on CoachingSelf.com, on the group of Healthy Living, you can also make comments there. I would love to hear your feedback on this. Great, so let's get started. This month we launched 2 programs. We launched Your Ideal Weight and Transform Your Stress into Bliss. Now, while I was designing the Ideal Weight program, I realized that stress plays a huge role in our weight. And that is why in this webinar, I would like to touch on the relationship between your weight and stress. So let's get started. All right, so first I just want to talk about your brain and how that works. So when I talk about experience and the chemicals in your brain that are released, I just want to first give you a little bit of background. And forgive me if you know this already. So in your brain, you've got 2, besides now the prefrontal cortex, etc., you have these 2 parts of your brain. The one is the nucleus accumbens, and the other one is the amygdala. Now, the nucleus accumbens is where it lights up when you experience self-gratification. All right, and the amygdala lights up when you experience fear. These 2 cannot light up at the same time. So you either have pain or you have pleasure. So the nucleus accumbens is all about pleasure. And here, when you experience gratification and pleasure, your brain releases dopamine, all right? And you really feel great, or serotonin. And of course, pumping it through your body means that it affects your health system in a very positive way. And you are healthy and vibrant and energetic, etc., etc., etc. On the other hand, amygdala is your fight or flight part of your brain. So the moment you experience fear, the amygdala lights up. All right. The moment you live in the future, or you think of thoughts that makes you not feel good, the amygdala lights up. And so fear is the mediator here. It releases noradrenaline. Now, because it's a fight or flight part of your brain, the moment you experience where the amygdala is lights up, your body goes into fight or flight mode. All right, your heart starts pumping, your blood is withdrawn and sent to the major muscle groups. You can start sweating, all kinds of symptoms. And your body looks for these invaders. Now, then there are no invaders. So what happens then is the macrophage releases interleukin pro-inflammatory cytokine. Sorry, this sounds very technical, but in your bloodstream, and that actually affects your immune system. In your brain, noradrenaline and cortisol are released. That actually activates these pro-inflammatory cytokines. And if that happens on a continuous basis, that leads to disease. All right, just as a background. Right, now see, how does this now relate to your weight? I wrote a few blogs during the month as well. The one was in the embodying of meaning. Now, whenever we give meaning to anything, it affects our mind, body, emotional state, and we respond from that state. So if we start with ourself, the meanings we give about ourself affects our state. It affects our response. Okay? So if we love ourselves, if we accept ourselves, then we feel good. On the other hand, if we hate ourselves or we reject ourselves, we really feel miserable. And again, what I just explained about the amygdala and the inflammatory cytokines, all these things then start taking effect, whichever way you're looking at yourself. So self-talk is absolutely crucial. What you say to yourself when you look in the mirror, do you say, yes, Dina, I like myself? Or do you say, oh, you are so ugly? That reminds me of this experiment by this Japanese scientist who, I'm sure you know of this, who have experienced, who have made these experiments with water. And when he gives beautiful, loving messages to the water forms his most beautiful patterns. And when he uses really bad language to water, it crystallizes, it really makes ugly patterns. Now, if you think about it, your body is about 70% water. So talk nicely to yourself. That's very important. The other meanings we talk about here is about food. Our meanings that we have about food. Now, when you think of food, what comes up for you? Is it just fuel for energy? Or does it mean comfort? Or does it mean celebration? Or is it the enemy to your body? Then we look at triggers to eat. So when do you eat? What makes you eat? Is it just because you're hungry? Or is it because you're lonely? Or you're bored? Or you want to kill time? Or you're excited? Or you're frustrated? Or you want to reward yourself? So if we start eating besides being hungry, then it means that we have overloaded eating with meaning. Okay? And that, of course, gives us dopamine, gives us a dopamine surge. And for the moment, you feel great. But then, of course, just after that, the guilt sets in, etc., etc., etc. All right. So when we give too much meaning, that means that we have other reasons besides normal hungry to eat, and it becomes a meaning of life, which actually are it's a cognitive distortion, and we'll look at that a bit later. So what happens is we need resources to actually control and divert our attention, and the idea is to interrupt that state so that you don't give in to now go and eat. But you can actually apply what we call metastating in neurosemantics. Is just think of acceptance. Let me just a moment accept this. Whether I am lonely or bored or impatient, let me just accept that for a moment. It's like a jacket that you put on. And if you think of a time when you did feel acceptance. Oh, you know what? Just accepting of the rain or the traffic. That feeling of, I don't condone it, but I can't do anything about it. That feeling of acceptance. If you think of acceptance and you just, like a jacket, just put it over your shoulders and feel acceptance feel through your body. It just gives you that split second before you respond. Or calmness. Think of a time when you felt calm and access that experience and again slip on the jacket of calmness. Or patience. Whatever resource you would need. The idea is to interrupt that state and divert your attention. All right. So, and by diverting attention is to do something else instead. Have a list of things that will give you a sense of contribution, a sense of achievement, whether it is cleaning out your cupboards, uncluttering your home, do something creative, walk around the block, whatever. divert your attention. Now, if you do this, the key is just that activity must give you that sense of achievement and gratification, because you need the dopamine. You see, you need the dopamine. If you do something that is not significant at all, you're just going to end up eating anyway. So what is that list of activities that gives you a sense of achievement, a sense of contribution to yourself, to your personal environment, or even extend it beyond that? All right? Because you need the dopamine. Now, a question I have for you is, who will you become doing other things instead of unnecessary eating? So if you do this often enough, that state gets interrupted, that pattern gets interrupted continuously, and you form a new pattern. You form new habits. All right. Another way of looking at weight and stress is also looking at the higher levels of your mind. In other words, not just the behavior side, but the higher levels of your mind. And here we look at positive intention. Now, even though our behavior, looking at ourselves or other people looking at us, can seem really very distorted, we still have a positive intention subconsciously behind that behavior. Whether we are overeating, binging, or whether we are throwing up, we have a positive intention, and that is in itself a cognitive distortion. So what is that? As an example, for overweight, it can mean protection. It can mean I protect myself from looking beautiful because at one time I was maybe abused. So if I look ugly, nobody will be interested in me. Protection. For underweight, anorexia, bulimia, it can mean perfectionism. Somebody sometimes, at some time, maybe said, oh, you know what, you're a bit chubby. And that just made such a paradigm shift that you decided, this is not me, and food is my enemy. Okay. So how do we deal with this? Once we know what the positive intention is, then it's all about permission. It's all about, do I give myself permission to let go of this? Because yes, the positive intention of protection or perfectionism is a good positive intention. But getting it in this way does not serve me anymore. So do I have permission to let go of this? And then, how else can I get that? How else can I get that protection or that perfectionism, that positive intention? Also, when you say to yourself, I give myself permission to let go of this positive intention, whatever it may mean, use in your own words, there may be objections coming up in the back of your mind. And for example, it can say, but I feel vulnerable. I will feel too vulnerable. And it's then, what you must then do is to reframe the objection. Say, okay, fine. I give myself permission to let go of this positive intention. And even though I feel vulnerable, it's great because I will know how to look out for myself. Do you see? Okay. So this is also, of course, in the program, Your Ideal Weight, on Coaching Self, and my.coaching self, your personal space where you do the work. Okay, let's go on. So the thing is that stress feels real. Whenever we experience stress or anything from the past or living in the future, it feels real. Although it's just thoughts and feelings, it interacts with your neurology, and then it feels real. But take note, that fear, that frustration, that feelings of contempt, it's all just thoughts and feelings. All right. So, and that can actually, if we buy into that, when I talked earlier about the cognitive distortions, and that can actually activate a cycle of self-destructive behavior, whether it's overeating or undereating. It's really about the 3 P's. It's about learned pessimism. It's about helpless, hopeless. The 3 P's is that it's permanent, that it's all about me, it's personal, and it's pervasive. It's throughout my whole life. So if anything goes wrong and you have the 3 P's, that, I don't feel good about myself. Somebody just said no to me for no apparent reason, but I see it in the way that it's about me. It means that I don't have any friends now at all, and it means that this is permanent. Can you see how that can create a lot of stress in your body, and that it can actually lead to a response that can be self-destructive to you? But the good news is that all of this we have learned. If we have learned to be so pessimistic and hopeless, helpless, we can learn to be optimistic. And that is a meta program in your brain. Optimism, pessimism. It's on a continuum. All right. So I wrote a blog this morning, actually, that's going to be posted tomorrow or so. It's about, is your glass half empty or half full? How do you see your life? Do you go for the best case scenario, or do you go for the worst case scenario? When something happens, what do you focus on immediately? All of those things play along to create stress in your body and can lead to responses of eating too much or not eating at all. All right. So what do we want to do? We want to change the stress response. Remember, I talked earlier about the interrupting the state. In other words, throw on a jacket of calmness or acceptance, giving you some distance of what do I want to change here, okay? And then divert your attention. That will give you the same satisfaction as eating would have done. All right. So change the stress response so that you can inhibit the amygdala. You need to inhibit the amygdala. That fear, the fight or flight part of your brain, you need to inhibit that so that it doesn't light up. And on the other hand, you will also then bring down the level of noradrenaline and inflammation in your body. And on the other hand, boost your nucleus accumbens. In other words, feel great. Do something that makes you feel on top of the world, that gives you such satisfaction. Because remember, these two cannot light up at the same time. You either experience pleasure in your brain or you experience pain. Your choice. And you can do it, run it with your brain. Okay, so how do we do that? As I said, if you think of any resource, now let me just mention something else. If you looked earlier at all these triggers to eat, boredom, loneliness, hungry, excited, frustrated, sad, is a reward, is a celebration. You know what? They're all states. They're all mind, body, emotional states. So if you want to change that state, if you want to include it in something else, you want to change the class of the state, as we call meta-stating. Now on My Coaching Self, I've designed a whole thing in the toolkit called your wardrobe of jackets. And that is different states where you develop a state of access a state, or imagine a state of being very calm, slip on that jacket. And also for calmness, appreciation, all kinds of jackets. So change your state, number one. Because if you change your state, you change your response. Start talking to yourself. Positive self-talk. If something goes wrong and there's traffic and you're going to be late for something and it's the end of the world and one thing, start talking to yourself. This is not the end of the world. I have done this many times. Every time something has worked out fine. Okay, so that you can get into a more resourceful place. Because if we have too much fear or anger or anything, our prefrontal cortex, especially fear, is compromised and we can't even think straight. If you fall into anger or anything, or any other negative state, then you will definitely respond in a way that you may feel regret afterwards. So get a positive place, talk to yourself in a positive way, live in the present moment. The moment you don't feel good, what am I thinking? Where am I? Am I in the future, living in fear? Am I beating myself up about something? Am I in the past, focusing on something that has gone wrong? I'm not in the present moment. All right. Meaning and purpose, that's key, because meaning gives us gratification. It gives us that dopamine. That's why I also say that your intention behind either losing or gaining weight must be bigger than just the weight. This is very important. Your intention behind your losing or gaining weight must be something higher or bigger, more important than the goal of just losing the weight. Check this blog I've written this morning about this. It's about moving away from things and moving towards other things. Okay, so what is your highest intention of getting to the ideal weight that you feel comfortable with, whatever that may be? Is it about being healthy? That's number one, because then it's a long term. It's not about going on a crash diet. So this program, achieving your ideal weight, is not about a diet. It's about a change of thinking. Because in the end, you need to change your lifestyle. You need to know what you know about food. It's all in the program. Changing your lifestyle, and it's really in the end a journey of accepting and loving you as you. So just coming back quickly here to that how of changing our stress response, we talked about meaning and purpose. Dopamine. What is your meaning in life? And what is your intention behind this losing weight? And how will losing the weight actually amplify that meaning or help that meaning, impact that meaning positively? All right. What do you appreciate in your life? Focus on what you appreciate regularly, every hour. If you're on the extreme of pessimistic, make a list of things that you appreciate in your life, what you are really grateful for. Also, your previous successes, no matter how small. Because that's how we learn optimism, is to start training our brain to focus on what's going right instead of what's going wrong. Do things that gives you a sense of achievement and contribution. All right. I just want to quickly look at if anybody said anything. No, it doesn't look like it. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to switch now to the system. So I hope this works. Let's do that. Just want to see, here we are, screen share. And we want to go, I wonder where is, so that one. Share. And I actually want to go to Coaching Self and not there. Right, here we are. So this is Coaching Self. And here are the blogs that we're writing, the self-coaching programs, describing what they are. and I'm going to go to My Coaching Self now, because this is where you do the work. I want to show you what that looks like. So on mycoachingself.com, your private space, here we will go to Browse Programs. And this is under the Health Life area. Of course, we suggest that you do your quick wins before you do your ideal weight or transform stress into bliss. But just quickly, your ideal weight program consists of a pre-assessment, your image of yourself, explore that, causes of undesired weight gain or loss, to exercise. Yes, I didn't even mention that here. Exercise is absolute of paramount importance because it gives you such dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, very, very good. Also to rid your body of adrenaline and cortisol. Then it's about knowing your foods. Know what foods does. Know the differences between sugars and carbohydrates and fats and the combinations of that and what it does to your body. Also, what's your language? Talked earlier about self-talk. What's your language? And then taking all of that into consideration, take charge of your weight. All right, how it looks inside is it's all about free text. And this is really private. This is just for your eyes. As you can see, we do an intention review, and there you are, answer a few questions for yourself. So this is your private space. This is a self-study program where you explore the inner levels of your mind, the higher levels, explore your beliefs and intentions that have dropped away from your consciousness, and it's in your subconscious. So in these programs, we are getting past or beyond the cognitive level that we are thinking with into the higher levels of our mind. So I just want to go back here. And to show you what transform your stress into bliss looks like. Again, a pre-assessment after the program. Please come and do a post-assessment because there you can see what changes you have made. We look at PNI, psychoneuroimmunology. This is all that I talked about in the beginning about the amygdala and the effects of stress in your body, adrenaline, dopamine, etc. Gives that an explanation of that. Explore your beliefs about stress, what triggers your stress, what life areas and how do you experience it in your body, what meaning and purpose you have now, ways to relieve stress. Again, exercise is the same module, is just referred to from both ends. Again, what's your language and how you can take charge of your stress. So these are the two programs under the health life area, and here we go back to the blog site. And in a moment we'll be back on Coaching Self. So Coaching Self is our community space, and My Coaching Self is your private space. So these programs are available through subscription. And here you can see on Coaching Self, how everything works. What are the steps? I'll just show you that quickly. Just a step-by-step guide to online self-coaching and how you do that. All right. So, as I said, there are the blogs. And once you join Coaching Self, the whole Coaching Self site is free. And on My Coaching Self, what you pay for there are the programs and the goals. The rest are also free. And for every course, we have a group. So join the group and make comments. And also check on events for new webinars or live chats or whatever we're doing. Great. So now I'm going to stop sharing. I hope you could see that this live events on YouTube is very exciting for me to do this way. And I really would love to hear your feedback on it, to see how you experience it, what you could see, what you didn't see. And I just want to check again if there were any comments on this side. No. All right. So I don't know who is watching. I would love to have maybe just your name. If you can just put your name in to say something, or send us an email, or make a comment below the video that you're watching. And please tell me how you enjoyed this, or any feedback on this, or any question, please. Okay, I said it was about a half an hour, so we are done now. In case anybody has a question, I actually should have said that right in the beginning. If you have any questions, please type it in the say something, or even below the video. You can send us also an email about it, and you can make a comment on the group on Coaching Self, the group of healthy living. You're welcome to make a comment there as well. I would love to hear your feedback and your views. And also, we are looking for people to volunteer to do these programs and then give us a review. If you are interested in doing that, if you're not a subscriber, I will give you a 3-month subscription to do the program. And you can obviously do anything else as well. And then after you've completed the program, is to let me know, so that I would like to check in with you on your progress, how you're doing, and so that we can have a little discussion on how you found the program. So if you may be interested in that, please send me an email at dina@coachingself.com. Great. It was wonderful having you. Till next time, live a purposeful life.